Hey there folks, Aldershot here, and today we're going to do an impression on Party Hard, developed by Pinocchio Games, and it's on sale on Steam at the regular price, around $12.89 I believe. Somewhere around the lines of that anyways. Now Party Hard is certainly a very interesting title in that, to break it down simply, it's essentially a murder simulator, right? If I was to put it into an actual genre, I guess I would call it tactical stealth, but we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get into the game. But at the end of the video, we'll talk about the game's options as well as any extra features as well. But for the time being, let's just jump into a game that we already got started. I'm about, say, 3 hours in, I think, and so far, we made it to Miami Party, but as you can see from the posters, it kind of continues further to the right, so definitely haven't finished the game quite yet. So the game definitely has a bit of content, to say the least. But for the time being, let's just actually jump into, say, let's see here, my control's getting a little crazy here. Okay, Neon Top Party. There is a selection of heroes to play through, but I believe they're story locked, or maybe all 4 of them will become unlocked when you get to a point of the game, or maybe when you finish the game. But on Neon Top Party I can only use the first character. However, in Miami Party I can actually use the last character, so I do believe it is story locked, at least for the time being. But let's just jump into Neon Top Party. Alright, so as you can tell from the logo and the color palettes and even the pixel art of the game so far, and even the theming and all that kind of stuff, it's going to remind you, at least it reminded me, of Hotline Miami, right? I think that's inevitable. I don't know how close Hotline Miami actually played as far as inspiration is concerned, but the comparison has to be made, right? It has that pink 80s neon color palettes, as well as it being obviously very 80s retro themed, and it's pixel art and all that kind of stuff, right? But overall, you know what? It's pixel art and it's overall 80s aesthetics. I like. Yeah, as far as presentation is concerned, I take no issues with Party Hard. I actually quite like it. I think the music is pretty good too, although it is on a loop per stage. And because some of the stages can actually take quite a while to complete, that can become a little bit annoying, a little bit tedious at times. But, you know, the one song that gets looped in the stage is actually at least pretty decent, right? And I do believe each stage presents its own song as well, as not to get overly tedious. But as far as presentation is concerned, what I'm trying to say is, I like it. It's not bad. It does a pretty good job at doing 80s retro pixel art, if you will. But anyways, beyond the way the game looks, what else is Party Hard about? Well, like I mentioned before, it's basically a murder simulator. I play as this guy here who's dancing, and he's basically a really pissed off guy who's annoyed by big, loud parties. And because of that, your goal is to go to each of these parties and essentially kill everybody at said party, right? That's going to be your end goal. So how do you do that, you might ask? Well, there's a variety of means. The most basic way is to stab somebody. And obviously if you stab somebody, you're not going to want to leave evidence around, so you're going to want to dump the body somewhere less conspicuous. We'll just put them in the corner for now, because there's still lots of people roaming around. But other than stabbing people, which again is the most basic form of killing people in this game, you can hold the LMB, or sorry, the right trigger. I am using the Xbox gamepad right now, and that will bring up highlights to other environmental things that you can interact with and possibly use to kill other people. Right, so let's see. Right now there's a whole bunch of different stuff. You know, you can see the target signs. That's basically the highlights. Oh, it looks like somebody discovered our dead body, so she's probably going to call the cops. But as long as they don't catch us in the act itself, we should be okay. We still don't really want cops around, because they're obviously a danger to our, I guess you can say, survival in this current stage. But anyways, as I was saying, there's other environmental dangers that you can use to kill people, not just stabbing people. For example, this golf cart. So let's activate that. And now run over a whole bunch of people in front of it. And that's a lot of fun. Now, we do have a kill counter as well, our stats if you will, and that's presented in the top left-hand corner. You can see our points at 40, as well as 13 kills out of 68. So we got 68 people to kill, and we killed 13 so far. Now let's see, we activated the golf cart. It looks like we can also activate this power bar. Nice! And that basically short circuits the dance floor. It is electrical for some reason. And kill a bunch of people, which will bring us closer to the end of the stage, which again is to kill everybody. And there's also other varieties of killing as well, like this punch. We can spike it with poison. So next time somebody drinks from it, well, that's another kill. We can also activate these traps, or even this thing, or even this thing. So next time someone stands close to that, and if it explodes, there we go. Now kill a bunch of people without us getting caught. Right? So that's really the whole idea of the game. Oh, looks like this guy's jumping up here. Oh no, he's being joined by a bunch of friends, which is a bit unfortunate. Oh well. But anyways, it's a very interesting idea in that this is a stealth game. I think that's the closest genre that I can pin this game towards. And it's very, very unique and interesting in its stealth play. Like in other more traditional stealth games such as Metal Gear or maybe Splinter Cell, it's really about hiding in corners and not being seen and advancing through the levels and all that kind of stuff. Whereas in Party Hard, it's a lot less about hiding in corners and how to stealth in a crowded room. Right, which is a very, very unique idea as far as the stealth genre is concerned. It definitely presents its own tactics, its own strategies, and sometimes you just, you know what, sometimes you just have to be patient and wait for other NPCs to kind of move away from, well, other NPCs, from witnesses, essentially, right? And that's very, very interesting. Like I said, like, you know, the whole idea of playing stealth in a crowded room, that's a new premise that Party Hard has done quite wonderfully, I have to admit. The gameplay is quite unique to its own, and I've enjoyed kind of playing around in this almost sandbox of killing, is essentially, because each level does present its own kill technique as well, right? Like the dance floor is unique just to this level. And I believe I can release these window washers as well, which is also unique to this level as well. And that's definitely going to be one of the main incentives to keep the player interested and keep playing, is to see what each level will present as far as unique kill techniques is concerned. And, you know, some levels are more open than others. Some levels you won't have an area to dump bodies, so you just have to deal with the cops and kill conspicuously that way, whereas some areas, you know, it really does incentivize hiding bodies and all that kind of stuff, right? So yeah, each level definitely is its own kind of thing, and very, very interesting to play through. Also, each level has randomly generated traps as well. Like sometimes the golf cart that I used earlier won't spawn in, you know. Sometimes there's 2 speakers instead of just 1. So besides each level being quite different from one another as far as different traps it presents, each level is also a little bit different in how it plays. Now, the RNG element isn't so dramatic that, you know, each time you play through any given level is going to be completely different. I wouldn't say that. But it is different enough to change your tactics a little bit at the very least. So it'll help with repetition and replay and possibly tedium as well. And speaking of which, as much as I do enjoy the premise and the tactical stealth play of Party Hard, the game's not perfect. My biggest complaints by far is tedium in this game, right? And that is because of a couple of factors. Now, in this game, in this current stage, there's 68 people. Some stages there's more, some stages there's less. And oftentimes, stages can take upwards to 15 minutes to complete. One level took me about 20-25 minutes to complete, right? And the fail state in this game is quite punishing. And not in the good Dark Souls kind of way, where, you know, it's completely your fault, It's a learning experience, and you know, the fail state is actually almost an enjoyable factor of the game. No, no, no. This game, the fail state is quite tedious because of the length of some of the stages, and because you have to actually start the stage completely over if you fail, if you get caught by the cops. That becomes obnoxious at times, right? Like, let's just say I am at the last 5 people of the stage. I put 15 minutes or more into said stage, and then I get caught by one of the 5 people by the cops. Well, that's too bad for me. I gotta start all over. That's 15 minutes completely wasted. Like in Dark Souls, if I die, it's not that difficult, or that, you know, it didn't take that long to get back to where I was. And usually it's through a means where I can tell it's completely my fault because of lack of skill or whatnot. But in this game, even if I can recognize that's my fault, not the game's fault, that's because of a lack of skill or lack of tactics or whatever, because of how long it takes, because of the time investment that you have to put into each stage, that makes it less of a learning experience and more of an experience of, or more of a exercise of patience, if you will, right? And couple that with the fact that your character moves so slow, as you can clearly see. Now, he does have a sprint bar, but it's very, very short, and it takes a long time for it to regenerate, right? So you got to use it sparingly and tactically. Couple, you know, the slow walking pace with the rulingly punishing fail state. And also the fact that, you know, as you can clearly see, it does involve a lot of walking back and forth in order to successfully complete the game properly, right? Dumping bodies, killing bodies, etc., etc. You know, all this takes a lot of time to complete. And it could have easily been solved by increasing the character's movement speed, or maybe implementing some form of checkpoint system. So, you know, after you kill so many people, maybe the game can continue from that point, instead of completely from the beginning of 0 out of, say, 68 people, right? So they're my biggest complaints of the game, and it's mainly repetition and tedium. Because even though I did mention that each stage does present its own interesting forms of traps and environmental dangers to play around with, it's still kind of the same thing over and over again, all the same. Now, given, you know, they've done a pretty good job at, oh god, we're at the last person, don't fail. Yes, we got him, but did we get caught? Okay, we actually did finish the stage, good. But as you can see, if that cop got us from that tiny inch, we would have had to start all over again, which is very, very annoying, right? We finished that stage in about 11 minutes, which is actually pretty good, considering some stages take about 20 minutes. But yeah, like I was mentioning, my biggest complaint is definitely the tedium of the game, right? We'll let the cutscene play through as well to give you an idea of what to expect. But yeah, it can get a little bit tedious in its fail state, and in the way the movements is so slow, and the whole walking back and forth thing. But luckily for Party Hard, the parts that I liked about the game, its unique premise, its aesthetic design, and also just the whole idea of playing stealth in a crowded room, which I guess goes back to its premise, intrigued me enough to get a lot of enjoyment out of the game. I did enjoy going through each stage, contemplating, trying to figure out the best way to kill a whole bunch of people within sight of one another, right? Like, that's very, very interesting, and presents some very, very interesting tactical gameplay. And luckily, that is strong enough to carry the game. Like, I found the game overall enjoyable. You know, I like kind of stealthily killing a bunch of people, I guess, as weird as that is to say, and all that kind of stuff. So, what I'm trying to say is the good aspects of Party Hard, you know, its unique premise, its stealth design, and also kind of experiencing all the different forms of traps that each stage presents. You know, these are enjoyable enough to excuse the less savory elements of the game, such as, like I said, the tedium of running back and forth, as well as its punishing fail state and the slow movement speed. These are definitely my least favorite parts of Party Hard. But other than that, I enjoy the game. I enjoy the game. I like how sandboxy the tactical play is. You know, I like you know, all this kind of stuff that I've already mentioned 100,000 times. So yes, overall I enjoyed Party Hard. Not perfect. It definitely comes with some faults, but overall enjoyable. Definitely, if nothing else, an interesting experience in its overall design, right? So there you go. That's basically Party Hard in a nutshell. Definitely very interesting. But anyways, let's just get out of this. Let's go to quits so we can take a look at the options menu as promised. This is the video options, 1080 of course, full screen or not, music volumes, you know, as you would expect. Nothing too robust, pretty simple and basic to be honest, but this is a pixel game, so it's kind of expected all the same. Then we have controls. Unfortunately, it is not customizable. Luckily for us, the controls are pretty basic and easy to get a handle of. And there's a very interesting config here, Twitch config, which will allow us to do a variety of different things, such as vote on different kill techniques with your Twitch audience. I think it's just a very interesting idea, and actually I kind of like that they incorporated Twitch functionality into the game itself. You know, it's great for its own self-promotion. Plus, I think streamers would like it as well. I'm definitely not against this. Anyways, our game kind of froze, but that's basically the options. That's basically Party Hard in a nutshell. So hopefully you folks enjoyed. Oh, there we go, unstuck. Hopefully you folks enjoyed, and hopefully you found this informative. And if you did, show me some love, like, share, favorite, and comments. And if you haven't already, subscribe. I'll bring you lots more videos just like this. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll just shout out.